I love Peter and the Wolf by Prokofiev, first of all, because it was the piece of music that I grew up on. In fact, when I was 7 years old, I, I played the recording that my parents put on. I played it over and over again, and it was totally scratched up at the end of a couple of years. And ever since once I became a conductor, I really wanted to conduct and present Peter and the Wolf, and now I finally get to do that. And it's after having studied the score, I see how absolutely marvelous the piece is in terms of the way that Prokofiev put it together. It's just an absolute genius masterpiece. And one of the things that I think is worth mentioning for people to listen for is that during the piece, of course, you have all the characters represented by the different instruments, but those characters and instruments actually have conversations with each other during the piece. And one can understand all of the conversations, even though they're happening simultaneously. And I just think it's the way that Prokofiev masterfully puts it together. It just makes it, well, of course, the most famous piece in its genre ever written. And actual fact, of course, when it was written in 1936, it was commissioned by a lady called Natalia Sat, her name was, from the Moscow Children's Theatre. She wanted a little symphony for children specifically. And so Prokofiev said, all right, well, we'll do that. And then they engaged a local, very, very well-known children's author called Sakonskaya. But as it turned out, Prokofiev didn't like the way she had written the text for the story. So Prokofiev wrote it himself. He said, sorry, I'm going to do it myself. And of course, that's the piece that we know today. And I just think it's the best piece ever to present to children, to introduce them to the orchestra.